There are so many great running shoe brands out there, but too often we hear the same 3 or 4 models just get tossed around. They have a tendency to go viral, if you will. So I want to take some time to shed light on all of the brands within the wide world of performance running shoes, and specifically highlight the best daily trainer from all of the brands out there. So to do that, I looked at 20 of the top running shoe brands out there and found the best daily trainer for each of them. Now, the main criteria here was that the heel stack had to be below 36 millimeters and it could not have a plate. So that excluded some popular shoes like the Saucony Triumph or the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3, which I don't really categorize as daily trainers. Now, that's a topic for another video, but I really wanted to get away from max cushion recovery running shoes and also plated trainers like the Hoka Mach X and Boston 12. While we see more runners using those for everyday miles, I don't think it's the best thing for our development as runners. I prefer to use non-plated shoes for daily trainers. So this video is an opportunity to do that, to highlight those best non-plated shoes out there for those everyday miles. Now, like I said, we went for 20 of the top brands out there, so there might not have been some that made the list. For example, I had a friend this morning who asked me if I've ever run in a Newton shoe, which I have not, and Newton is also not on this list. So if you don't see your favorite brand here, go ahead and drop a comment on who I left out. Tried to be pretty comprehensive. 20 brands does represent probably 95 to 98% of the market, but of course there might be 1 or 2 that I missed. I initially filmed this as one video, but that would end up being way too long, so I'm going to split it into 2 parts. This first part is going to focus on the first half of the alphabet, and the second part is going to focus on the second half of the alphabet. This was a super fun one to put together, and I hope you can learn a few things, maybe pick up a few new brands here along the way, or pick up the next running shoe for your collection. Before we get into it, I want to tell you about the Running Shoe Matcher, which is this really cool tool I built that matches you with the best running shoe for you based on your goals and preferences. So you could go in there, you answer 5 questions about what goal race you're training for, what your style of shoe is that you prefer. Do you want something soft or firm? Do you want a daily trainer, a tempo shoe, or a race day shoe? And we will pair you with a few of the best shoes that match your criteria. So you can go ahead and go to runningshoematcher.com to check that out. All right, let's get into it. Alright guys, I swear I didn't just try to highlight this one first. We were going from A to Z, and Adidas is at the top of the alphabet. But if you follow this channel, you'll know I have an extremely fond place in my heart for the Adidas Adizero SL, which sits at the top of my list right now when we're thinking about firm daily trainers. So the Adidas Adizero SL is Adidas's re-entry into the daily trainer running segment. They had those Boost series of shoes a few years ago, and then that foam kind of got phased out as we shifted more towards lighter EVA foams and Piba foams, but the Adizero SL represents a return to form for Adidas. It's a pretty lightweight shoe, coming in at around 8 ounces for that men's US size 9. It has a solid bed here of this Light Strike EVA foam. Then in the forefoot here, there's a puck of Light Strike Pro, which is a super critical TPEE that's also in the brand's racing shoes. The reason I love this shoe so much as a daily trainer is it's a very simple ride, no frills, there's not a big rocker or anything, and has the perfect amount of cushion. It's right in that 30 to 36 range where it's not a max cushion shoe, but it's also not minimal. You don't get a ton of ground feel, so it's just the right amount of comfort and cushion and protection from the ground without going into a mushy or disconnected feeling. Also retails for $120 and is often on sale. By the way, subscribe for my weekend deal updates because I'll highlight when this goes on sale. It's usually at around $50 recently, so really good value on the market. One of the best value shoes out there. Alright guys, next up we have Altra. The best daily trainer from Altra is the Torin 7. Now, Altra is a brand that makes exclusively low drop shoes, well, until recently, where they came out with the Ultra FWD, which is their new low drop model. But the Torin 7 is still a 0 drop shoe. It has a 30 millimeter stack in the heel and also in the forefoot, again, that 0 drop, and it comes in at 9.8 ounces. This is going to be like the Adizero SL, kind of a no frills ride. There's nothing exceptional about it, but it's gonna be comfortable, cushioned, smooth, and if you are a 0 drop runner, it's gonna be a really nice, solid, straight down the plate daily trainer. The foam it's using is an EVA based foam called Ego Max, and that gives a nice, smooth, cushioned, and responsive ride. If you haven't tried 0 drop shoes, the Torin 7 would be a great place to start as that daily trainer. You could also consider from Altra the Vanish Tempo. The reason I didn't include it in this roundup and I went with the Torin 7 instead is because the Vanish Tempo does have more of a racing foam in there, and I really wanted to focus on those simple everyday running shoes. Torrent 7 comes in at $150, which is about $10 more expensive than mainstream shoes of a similar construction like the Nike Pegasus. But given that it's a more niche brand and it is offering a niche product with that zero drop, I think it's still a pretty good value. Alright guys, next up we have the Asics Nova Blast 3. Now this is a shoe that basically needs no introduction if you spend any time on running shoe YouTube or Reddit. This is a fan favorite. It has a nice soft and bouncy midsole foam. It's using that FF Blast Plus foam. It's the same foam that we see in the Gel Nimbus 25, which is my current recovery shoe of choice. But in the Nova Blast, the stack is a little bit lower, it's a little bit lighter, and it's overall a comfort-oriented daily trainer. Whereas something like the Adizero SL is going to be firmer, snappier, more oriented toward a bit of up-tempo running. This one is more relaxed. It's going to be comfortable and cushioned, take some of that pressure off your legs, which is a really good thing if you want a shoe to support a high mileage training build. The Nova Blast 3 is on sale with a discount right now for $110 at a lot of places because that Nova Blast 4 is coming soon. So excellent value right here. Alright guys, next up we have Atreyu. Now Atreyu is a small brand out of Austin, Texas that focuses on simplicity and offering simple, high-performing shoes at an approachable price point. So their whole lineup is about $100 or cheaper, and the one we're highlighting here as the best daily trainer is called, non-coincidentally, the Daily Trainer. So the Daily Trainer from Atreyu features a midsole foam that is a supercritical EVA, which is very similar to what we see in the Hoka Mach 5, and it has a full covering of outsole rubber, unlike the brand's entry-level model, which is called the base model. At 9.3 ounces, it's square down the middle of the segment when we think about weight, so it's not too light and not too heavy. And at the price point of $110, it represents excellent value, which is what you're gonna get from that whole entire lineup of Atreyu shoes. Alright guys, next up we have the Brooks Ghost 15. Now this is one of the most iconic, legendary, also maligned running shoes out there. This is the default running shoe of choice for a lot of new runners. If you go into a lot of specialty running shops, they'll recommend the Brooks Ghost for pretty much everybody. But the reason why this happens is it's a really reliable, sturdy, go-to type of shoe. There's reports out there of some runners taking their Brooks Ghost to 700, 800, 900, 1,000 miles. So you know this is a shoe that can just chew up that mileage and go on forever and ever. That being said, it's not the sexiest when it comes to design, or it's not the most exciting when it comes to ride. It's using a supercritical EVA foam in the midsole, which is not too bouncy, not too soft, not too firm, just gets the job done. And the weight is 9.8 ounces, which is on the heavier side of normal. At $140, this is square down the middle of the market. Again, if you focus grouped a daily trainer, it would spit out the Brooks Ghost 15. This is a really safe and conservative bet that you basically can't go wrong with buying. Alright guys, next up we have Craft. Now Craft is a performance running brand out of Sweden that focuses mainly on outdoor gear. They got their start in trail running, specifically on the light gravel to dirt road style of trail running. So that style that's common out in some places of Europe, and then if we think about the western part of the United States, that fire road style running. They've recently branched out into road running shoes and have a pretty competitive lineup across the road and trail. Now the best everyday running shoe from Craft right now is the Pro Endure Distance. You could think of this as a lighter weight, more nimble Triumph. It's using a foam that's pretty similar to what we see in the Triumph, which is an expanded bead foam. So it has that nice soft and bouncy feel, that nice cushioned and comfortable sensation, but because it's a bit lighter weight, you can pick up the pace with it a bit more. This one comes in at 8.3 ounces, which is on the lighter side. It has a stack height that's right up against our maximum here of 36 millimeters in the heel and 24 millimeters in the forefoot for that 8 millimeter drop. It retails for $155, but there's some colorways that are on sale right now for $84. In the process of doing research for this article, I came across those deals and I'm super tempted to buy it. I'm trying to hold out for a bit longer, not buying any more new shoes, but I might have to bite at this Craft Pro Endure Distance. Alright guys, next up we have Diadora, which is a brand out of Italy. Now they focus on general athletic wear, similar to a Puma or a Reebok, where a lot of their line is more casual, lifestyle, fashion inspired wear, but then they also do have a few performance running picks that are good for training. There's not any real speed day or race day options in the Diadora line, but they do have a solid daily trainer and a solid stability shoe. Now the one I want to highlight here is the Atomo V7000. Right off the bat, I should tell you the price. This one comes comes in at $240, which is pretty eye-popping for a daily trainer, but the reason behind it makes some sense. So Diadora, like most of these brands, produces a lot of shoes in Asia, but then it also produces a certain subset of its line in Italy. So the Atomo V7000 is one of those special shoes that was handpicked to be produced in Italy. So a lot of this is handmade right there in that factory in Italy. It's using a standard EVA foam in the midsole and comes in at 8.8 ounces. So that price premium is really going to be about the origins of the shoe and also the style and almost high fashion bent that you're getting from going with Diadora. Now, this is definitely targeting a certain subset of runner. If you don't care about looks all that much, you don't care about luxury or fashion products, probably not going to be the shoe for you. But if you do care about aesthetics and you're looking for something a bit different than the traditional Hoka or Nike or Saucony, then go ahead and check out that V7000. Alright guys, next up we have Hoka. This is one of the most popular running shoe brands right now, and at the top of the Hoka food chain is the Clifton 9, which is also going to be the best daily trainer in that lineup. In a lot of ways, the Hoka Clifton is the benchmark for what a cushioned daily trainer should be. Hoka pioneered that high stack of cushioning style that we see so prevalent in the market right now, and they've still been going with that tried and true formula of that compression molded EVA in the midsole. This is a ride that's not going to blow you out of the water, but you're going to get really solid performance out of it if you want something to protect your legs and to give you a bit more of that cushion underfoot than a traditional running shoe. This one has a stack height of 33 millimeters in the heel, 27 millimeters in the forefoot for a 6 millimeter drop, and the weight is 8.7 ounces, so pretty competitive with the market overall. Where there is a slight premium here is the price. It's $145. I would expect for other brands this to be around $130 to $140, so you are going to be paying a bit more for that brand name, but if you want to go with the Hoka, then Clifton is a good choice for you. Alright guys, next up we have Mizuno. Now, unfortunately, there are 0 shoes from Mizuno that fit my criteria. All of their shoes use what's called a wave plate. It's a plastic, either PIBA or TPU plate in there, and a lot of them are over 36 millimeters, so there's one that was going to highlight that is 38 millimeters. I would really like to see Mizuno bring something to market that's a bit more competitive with where the daily trainer segment is going. Their lineup is pretty outdated, it feels a bit dusty, so hopefully we see them nudge it in the right direction in the next year or so. They have started to make waves and make a bit of movement at the top of their lineup, so they have that Wave Rebellion Pro. That's a pretty competitive marathon racing shoe, so it'd be great to see that trickle down to the rest of their rotation. If you really do want to check out a daily trainer from Mizuno, I'll throw out the Wave Rider 27, but again, it's higher stack height, it's heavier, and it has that plate in it.